everybody, old guy here. I'm in between trips, so I decided to put this video up before I head out again. I spotted two Ann Leckies on the shelf at the library and grabbed them because it's Ann Leckie. Come on, who could resist? And I read them back to back because, come on, it's the library and you only got so much time and my reading speed ain't what it used to be. So, had at 'em. Only had to renew once. So what were these books? Well, the first one is Provenance, which is a sci-fi novel set in the Ratch universe, and a fantasy novel, The Raven Tower. Fantasy? By Ann Leckie? Well, yeah. So let's see about this. Let's see about both of them. Now, for those of you who read the Ancillary Justice series, then you know what Ratch is, and all of the highfalutin space warfare and intrigue that attends the Ratch's attempts to maintain their control of all the galaxies using a downright Byzantine social order that would have made Machiavelli quite proud. And space battleships that are sentient and become human. Yeah, you heard that right. So if you pick up a Ratch novel, you expect more of the same galaxy-wide warfare and backstabbing. But in the case of Provenance, no, not at all, not so much. Oh, there's warfare and backstabbing, but it's local. Like two city councils in neighboring towns intriguing against each other. So what's this one about? Well, Ingray is the adopted daughter of a Natano of the Hawaiians. Hawaiians, yep, I say it like Hawaiians. And is in competition with another adoptee, her foster brother Danach, whatever, to be named as heir by their mom. It's either going to be Ingray or Danach, and then subsequently to receive the political power and riches that are attendant with the Natano family name. Mom's going to name the adoptee that impresses her the most. So Ingray comes up with the most harebrained plan ever conceived by any scheming sibling to gain Mom's favor. To break a notorious forger out of a galactic prison impossible to break out of, and convince the forger to lead her to his cache of stolen, quite valuable vestiges, some of which belong to the Natano family. Vestiges? Yes, these are tiny artifacts associated with some great event, like an entry ticket to some party or meeting signed by some obscure person who later turns out to be significant. Think a laundry slip signed by George Washington. Hawaiian families go crazy for these things, their prestige and political power dependent on how many of these vestiges they can collect and display. Farad, the criminal, stole his own family's vestiges along with several others and hid them somewhere before he was caught and convicted. Ingray pulls off the jailbreak in a rather desultory and uninvolved way. She bribes someone, only to discover the just freed prisoner Farad is someone who looks just like him, talks like him, and could easily pass for him, but ain't him. Now I'll leave to your imagination what happens next, but you'll be wrong. Problem is, this is much ado about nothing. There is a lot of action and intrigue and very odd aliens showing up, but it's all local. It's small. Hardly galactic in its breadth, except when the aliens and neighboring star systems show up to contest ownership of spaceships and wormholes. The Hawaiians eventually come off looking like fools, and Ingray is hardly a master intriguer and operator, mostly stumbling her way from one weird situation to another, and mustering just enough resourcefulness to get herself out of it and into something worse. You'll be amused and keep reading it anyway, expecting the Ratch to show up at some point and knock some heads together, but, well, no, not what happens. And you'll be annoyed by Leckie's abandonment of any kind of pronoun rules, because you'll have to go back and reread sentences to figure out who is who. But at least you'll get a picture of local politics in the Ratch Empire, if you care. Now, the other book, The Raven's Tower, is quite a departure for Leckie in that she creates a high fantasy medieval world of swords and sorcery and really pissy gods. It's a pretty simple world with a nation called Iridan, containing only two cities, Vastai and Ardsvastia, which I'm probably not pronouncing those properly, but, you know, hey, it's fantasy. Now, both of these cities are across the straits of the Shoulder Sea from each other. South of Vastai is the Silent Forest, and south of that, the lands of the barbarian Tell, who attack the lands of the Iridan and require a butt-whooping once in a while to keep them in line. And further south of them are the Zula. Think of Mongols. The Raven is a powerful god who resides in a tower in Vastai and works through the Raven's lease, which is a human, an inherited position that changes every time the Raven's instrument, which is usually a real raven hatched under special conditions, dies. So how does it change? Well, the human who's the lease that year has to sacrifice himself to the new instrument. So you can see that being the lease isn't all that it's cracked up to be, even though you have practically unlimited power to do whatever the heck you want, whenever you want. Until the instrument dies, that is. Then next slice, and your heir now takes over the lease. So, what's happened here is Mawat, the lease's heir, is a brilliant general fighting the Tell when he finds out that his father, the current lease, is dying, and so he hightails it back to Vastai with his best friend and best advisor, Iolo, by his side. Iolo is the center of this novel, the viewpoint and definer of all the action, although this is not told from his viewpoint. It's second person, with someone else telling what Iolo is doing and thinking throughout the story, which you may think an odd way of telling a story or just more MFA pretension, but no, there's a very good reason for it, and I can't fault it. It actually works, and I liked it. See, I can be cutting edge too. When Mawat arrives, surprise, surprise, his father is missing, and his uncle has assumed the lease, to the proclaim of everyone, because it looks like Daddy done run off instead of self-immolating like he was supposed to when the instrument died, and somebody had to be lease, somebody, before the Raven gets royally PO'd and eats the town or something. Mawat, who has anger issues akin to Bruce Banner, is not at all pleased, and things get out of hand quickly. The rest of the novel is mostly Iolo's attempts to unravel all of the mysteries within conundrums that is the court. The best thing about this novel are the gods, which are not like any gods that you've grown accustomed to. They're mostly small and in charge of smaller things, like enticing a fish to a hook or helping someone repair a pot. And they're kind of cute and really like people. Mostly. There are some rather powerful gods that aren't all that friendly, like the raven, but by and large, they're somewhat innocuous. Until they're not. The best of these gods is the patience and strength of the hill. That's his name. A rock on a mountain in the far north who is the deity of an Aleut type of people. He's the best kind of god. Takes millennia to think something through before acting, but in the meantime will do small favors for his people, and everyone likes him. Especially Myriad, the goddess who manifests as a swarm of mosquitoes. They're benign mosquitoes, though. Both Patience and Myriad get pulled into the raven's intrigues, and, well, things get crazy. And here's my big problem with this novel. How big things get. I mean, get really big. Because pretty much through most of the novel, the magic is small. The gods are small. A little bit of help in sorcery here and there, which may or may not turn a tide, and everything is really up to the humans to get done. And then, just like that, we have big magic that creates a downright deus ex machina situation, allowing Iolo to eavesdrop on a conversation that is nothing but exposition for his benefit, because the two participants already know everything they're discussing. Oh, actually, it's exposition for your benefit. It's painful. And for that reason, I'd say you approach this novel with a little bit of caution. Unless you liked it when Aragon found the army of the dead and cleaned things up rather nicely. The gods are cool, though.